When students are learning new skills, it's important they remember what they've studied. This is especially true in fields where knowing your stuff can make all the difference, like in medicine. In a study done in 2006, a group of medical students was taught how to suture arteries. The students were split into two groups, and both had the same study materials. But one group made a small change in how they studied, and when tested a month later, they performed the procedures much better than the other group. So what was their secret? We'll dive into the study method that worked for them, and also talk about two other helpful study techniques that can work for anyone. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at how our brain learns and stores information. When you first start learning something new, like how the heart works, your brain stores this information in a part called the hippocampus. As you keep studying and going over the material, these brain connections get stronger and more stable. Eventually, this information moves into long-term memory, which involves another part of the brain called the neocortex. While we still don't fully understand how exactly short-term memories become long-term ones, we do know that it often happens during sleep and in between study sessions. During this time, new information connects with what you already know, like how the heart relates to the rest of the body. Every time you review something, like the anatomy of the heart, you activate that memory again, and this makes it easier to update or add new information. Now let's look at the first study method that can help you remember more. Using flashcards or practice quizzes is one of the best ways to make sure you actually know the material. Simply rereading your notes or textbooks can make you feel like you've learned something, but it doesn't show you what you really remember. Even if you don't know the answer right away, that's okay. When you try to recall something, your brain activates related information, and when you finally get the answer, it sticks better. Instead of studying one thing for a long time, try switching between different subjects. This is called interleaving, and it helps you remember things better by forcing your brain to work harder to switch between different concepts. This technique also helps you understand how different ideas are connected or how they're different from each other. Instead of cramming all your studying into one session, spread it out over several days. This gives your brain time to process and store the information. Sleep is also really important in this process because it helps cement what you've learned. While cramming the night before a test might seem like a good idea, it doesn't help you remember things in the long run. Spacing out your study sessions makes the information stick better over time. The medical students in the study spent the same amount of time practicing, but the group that spaced out their studying over several weeks performed much better than the group that crammed everything into one day. These three study methods, testing yourself, mixing up topics, and spaced studying, work because they align with how the brain naturally learns and stores information. By using these strategies, students can study smarter and remember more.